Hey guys, this is Carnifex of the Nerd. This video, I have with me Dragonlaw Gaming. Say hello.
Hey everybody.
Hey, so we just did a video over on his channel, so go check it out. If you haven't subscribed, definitely subscribe. Talking about all these announcements that came out today, the things that we're most pumped about. And now for me, we're gonna go over just some of the things that we really wanna see addressed, that we would love to see kind of remedied, that at least people have been talking a lot about on Discord. So it's going to be a combination of us giving our own opinions, and also it's just kind of giving a temperature for the community as a whole. But I have kind of like a top 5 list of things that to me, are the biggest concerns, and it's kind of considering both the amount of effort that it would take in order to make the change. So it requires a lot of effort, just kind of less expectation to make the change, right? But if it doesn't really take much, it's like, well, why wouldn't you do that, right? And then how significant is the impact, whether it's on player quality of life, enjoyment of the game, impacting something about the game competitively that makes it different, more enjoyable. So that's what we're gonna go over now. So my top 5, right, that I've got starts off with fixing the tower. And when I say fixing, I mean basically if you went and you wailed harder, right? Then you got kind of stuck. You got kind of stuck there, and you might have only had like your really strong arena team. You might have had some other. You didn't really have the supplementary units to help you break through 3, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes I've heard guys talking about, if you include the side rooms, meta teams that they're competing with in order to just clear the tower, which is crazy. So anyway, Dragonlaw, whenever you see, like, is fixing tower the top concern, I feel like it doesn't take that much effort. The thing that's been suggested a lot by myself and other members of the community is utilizing other factions as placeholders, kind of like they had for the arena shards. They had a bunch of these arena teams built in there, and basically let's let people face off against these varieties of factions that we have, to at least break up the staleness of it, and they can just basically scale it with the normal formula output that they have so far. So they would need to make a few iterations of the teams, but because this isn't really even a problem until you hit at least 95k plus, they would only need to make a few different difficulty iterations of each one. And I think they could mostly accomplish that through gear and leveling, and not go as much into the ability upgrade. So I don't know. How do you feel about that? You're like, hey, I think you're underselling kind of the amount of effort it would take to change that up. I don't know if I feel like that's the biggest issue. I think it's something else. What do you feel?
Well, I kind of feel like it's not as big of an issue for tower. Like, I get my tower. Yes, they're frustrating. Yes, you have to push. I have days where just a couple of nights ago I had to go in and out and in and out on the high levels. And the frustrating part for me is that I'm fighting just meta teams,
Right.
right? It's basically, from what it looks like, and I honestly don't know for sure, but what it looks like, it's just taking people's arena teams and throwing them
Right.
in, and you're having to fight them. And I think that's a problem. And the reason why I think that's a problem is that you'll face the same meta team over and over and over again. And that sucks, especially when you have no cooldowns. I have to end up bringing in an extra team just to have them go through their first cooldown, and that's fine. I mean, I haven't failed one yet, since they made them easier, quote unquote, made them easier.
Right.
But I also understand that people want to get through them, but this is kind of a bottleneck issue for me. So it's kind of a twofold question, because when I'm doing these tower runs, if I could flat out go through the tower and just make it easy, then at this point in the game, I don't know what I would do every day.
Yeah.
Like, the tower's challenging for me. I mean, it's one area in the game where I have to start thinking. I have to think. I have to be able to bring in teams. I have to use the counters. I got to use multiple tanks. Like, if I didn't have my tanks up, sometimes
Right.
I have to bring in Kelrian, and then I have to bring in, later I've got to bring in someone else. And I think that's I think that's a good thing for the game overall. I understand it's frustrating to just slam your head up against the wall if you're a lower level character, but
Right.
it only takes 150 of these before you can simulate the
And we
whole
say
thing.
over 100.
And then
We say only 150. That is 5 months.
it is, but this is a mobile game.
But
and
yeah,
it's 5 months of a mobile game. So
in order to have an eternity of like autoable, yeah, correct. No, I was just
and so
yeah.
that's kind of how I feel about it. It's like if I'm done doing this, if I can get this done in 150 days, essentially 5 months of doing it, then I'm done. Well, hopefully there's new content, and right now this is the content that we have.
This is the
And yes,
content
it's
we have
difficult.
readily available whenever we want to do it, as long as we haven't cleared it. And I'm doing like, for me, I'm probably similar to you in like difficulty, where basically once I get a few like cooldowns set up through like side rooms and early floors, I literally just auto it for the most part. And if someone randomly does die, I just kind of like, okay, I'll have be a little more high maintenance on it until I get to floor 9, and then I kind of do like pay a little more attention once I get there. Make sure.
Well, and I don't even do that. I actually pay attention the whole time, because if you get to 9 and you haven't managed your cooldowns properly,
for sure,
you're done. I mean, maybe you not, but I certainly am. Even with my roster, it feels like if I don't do it the right way, I'm going to be hurting when I get to 10. And then I'm going to have to figure out a way. To get this done, and it can be very difficult.
For sure. And it's too late if you haven't.
Right. Well, and what's interesting is, as we're talking right now, you can't see my screen, but I'm actually playing tower. In my other video, I was doing my tower, and I'm at level 10, level 10 right now, and I got a non-meta team.
Every once in a while you get like orcs, because everyone's put in on orcs for Soleus, which is merciful.
This wasn't that. This was like Kara. Let's see if I can even look at it. But it was a Kara. There was Kara, Venomate.
God bless the artists.
Right, and so it was kind of a weird hodgepodge, and I was able just to blow through them. But the final team here that I'm having to fight, it's got a 11 or 112,000 power, and of course it's Soleus,
right,
Calmguard, Kara, and Freezard, and it's the same thing over and over again. You could just, when you're making these, instead of using the people's arena team, you just take people's accounts and just throw characters in there.
So so randomness.
Maybe you could do it that way.
So randomness is actually way harder to do from like a coding perspective, because you go from, hey, go into this like library of characters that are already created, that exist. You don't have to generate anything. It's still better to have them created from someone's roster than it is, correct, which is what you're saying. Correct. There are some people who have been saying kind of just period, create them out of thin air. I'm like, you have to, then it has to automate. It has to figure out, okay, well, how am I going to balance player level, gear pieces, ability levels, not just wasting them on.
Do that.
That's
want to do that. But the interesting thing, and I don't know, like I said, coming from Galaxy, we had the what is it? That's really sad, huh? Played the game for 3 years.
We had the what? You gotta give me something.
It was the same mode as Tower, but it was called something
else. Galactic War.
Galactic War, that's right.
Yeah.
But that mode seemed like it was easy.
It got so easy,
hard, and then easy, hard. Easy, and then you got to that node 12.
Oh, right, yeah, they bumped up like the third node of difficulty a little bit, yeah.
But that's when you fought meta teams. That was the only time you fought people who were really in the meta, and I don't know if that was because it made it so you were fighting basically just random
because it was random teams a lot of the times. Yeah,
a lot of times they were just these junk teams that didn't matter. They weren't even real teams, and so I'm curious if that could be done. And
it certainly could.
wouldn't be totally opposed to the idea of, you know, the developers themselves having accounts and making characters and setting up teams and that sort of stuff. We have fake accounts in the game.
Right.
There are bots in the game.
Right.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not do that? You know, and that sort of thing, as long as they weren't
Ooh,
completely.
Daddy's gonna get a double clear on floor 9 side rooms. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
You have your notepad in the way, so I can't see your.
Oh no.
What you're doing.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I've got a little notepad up on the side so I can see kind of my notes for it. But so anywho, yeah.
No, I mean,
So we've talked about tower, right?
But
and
I just cleared my tower again. I have 88 more runs, 88 more days, 88 more runs.
I got like 60 something. Or maybe
again.
it's like 70 something like that. I don't know. I'll have to look once I finish. That's one of the reasons why I decided to start doing tower. I was like, I'll see how many I got left. Okay, so I think the main thing that people could argue tower isn't as big of a concern for us. It does seem to be a whale exclusive issue, but that's still relevant because they're the people primarily funding this game. So it's like both is a reason to rank it lower, and it isn't. The main thing for me is it's been an issue essentially since not very long into people having tower unlocked, and nothing like they've notched down the difficulty, but at some point, I mean, dropping the overall like power of a team that you're going to face by 2% is not the same as changing it from being a hardcore meta team to something that's like, you know, fairly easy and straightforward. It's a lot worse to face that 2k power lower meta team than to face something that's at the same power level, but it's a lot easier because it's just, you know, the comp's just not as good. Right. So okay, second thing.
Know, right? There are people who there are inferior factions.
Right.
There are inferior compositions in this game. Some teams just
and we'll get to that.
Way better.
And we'll get to that. So next, for me, my second biggest concern, and there's kind of a couple elements to this, is fixing tournaments, and specifically rune tournaments, because I put a big suggestions channel saying here are the 3 ways I think we need to adjust how runes are going out right now, or ways that people can use runes, because right now, if you are one of the people who manages to get into even the top 10, but especially top 3, and you don't get even like one good rune out of that, like that is hours of time that you've spent. You've probably done at least 50 matches, even if it only takes you 2 minutes. I mean, that's almost 2 hours minimum to go in, and you've probably spent like at least a few hundred Dracoins in order to really like crank out the amount of battles you're getting. And if you end up with nothing for all that, it's like, wait, hold the phone. I could do an event for these, you know, for blue runes, right? I can sim that in 5 seconds now that I've unlocked it. The output to input ratio is just so skewed there. And then also, this is something that, you know, I mean, we're both in GNL, right? You know, people tend to drink the haterade there. Even though we do, essentially all we do is not prioritize hitting our teammates. I've been a part of multiple times where, you know, at the end it's like, hey, I want this reward, dude, so like I am gonna knock you down, and if other people manage to get through, like, you know, it's not what I'm trying for, but it might happen, and that's what it is. But I know that there are a lot of people who feel consistently frustrated by the fact that they can't get around the big stack of GNL peeps there, and they've mentioned ways that they think will be helpful. I really do think that those are all pretty limited in the ways they're going to be able to help things, to an extent to where I don't know if it's really worth the devs' time. But at this point, I think the complaints have been consistent enough that we need to just kind of let people figure that out. That, hey, like, here's this thing that I want you to do, and I think it'll make it harder for them to collaborate. It's like, not hard enough. And by collaborate, we just mean knowing who each other is and not prioritizing each other in order to climb. It's gotten past the point to where I think people have heard the reasons why, and they're just like, hey, even if it only matters a little bit, I'll take it. And I don't think that's bad, because I think it is a big turn off to really kind of kill an aspect of one of the big sources of content that we have right now. I don't want that to feel killed by people, even if it kind of like personally disadvantages me minorly. That's I think that even if there is some marginal increase that the player base notices by making changes, by like, hey, we don't see the names, right? We only see the points. You have to be able to see the points, because you have to see how much farther you have to climb. You got to do that. But even then, you can't blind the power levels for the characters. Some people have said, oh, just like don't show that, because that's how people can know, who they're fighting. All the GNL people can have like a little pattern they use to show this is one of us, and like post their power levels. Like, well, you can't get rid of that, because then you don't know what you're facing. And now you're disadvantaging yourself that way. So, but I think there is a degree to where, at least some people will fall off on how much they're going to pay attention to like hitting people. Maybe it has a trickle down effect, and for the most part, people are just kind of hitting each other, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Clearly, it wasn't meant to be like a guild event.
Well, maybe I'm bad at this, because I'm on both ends of that. I remember where I joined. I used to be up at the top. I would play, when we were first leveling up in the 60s, before we got to the 70 bracket, before I joined GNL, I was getting targeted by the GNL people. I absolutely was. I knew that. I could figure it out on my own, because I was having to refresh and fight them and knock them down. And this is when I was in the #1 spot, and I had people attacking me. And I know that's what was going on, because I started doing the math and totaling it up. But they're just trying to climb, right? I don't think there was a concerted effort. They were simply going, hey, we want to be 1 and 2. We're going to attack this guy.
Well, I'll even say, I think it's fun knowing that, like, hey, this is that guy that's kind of always has a team that's around like the difficulty of my team, and I kind of have like this like kind of like passive rivalry with them whenever I go, and if I don't see who it is, then I don't know that anymore. So
and I do, yeah, I had that. I used to go, I used to, before I was in GNL, I would attack only GNL people. I was attacking them exclusively, right? And the reason for that was there was a ton of them. And maybe I'm going to get myself in trouble here, maybe, and I really don't care. But when we get into these events and there's a GNL wall, I just start attacking GNL people, right? You're in the way. This is a tournament. I'm trying to get up. I'm trying to win. I'm competitive. Let's, if I'm stuck at 36 and the top 4 people in front of me are GNL, and the top 3 people below me are GNL.
Correct.
I'm attacking the weakest one.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm
going
correct.
to kill you.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to pass you. And
if I did somehow not pay attention and end up with only GNL, I'm like, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to win this, because not only am I totally opposed to feeding, but also like, hey, like, yeah, we're all trying to get stuff, but I'm trying to get stuff for me too.
Well, it's like when you sent me a message a couple of days ago saying, hey, I attacked you, because I think I was #1 at the moment, and you were coming up in #2, and you attacked me, as you should have. I mean,
I let you know, though.
You did, but that made it fun.
It was mostly for science.
But exactly, but it was fun. I mean, and that there should be some of that.
Yeah.
And I think currently, like, I'm a little displeased. Like, I really enjoyed tournaments. That was my favorite game mode for a while, and right now I've been a little less enthused with them, even though I'm currently playing it right now.
Is it because they're repeating the qualifications, or is it because they're repeating like the rewards a little too much? Like, it
doesn't really have anything to do with that. Like, right now I'm 14. I've been able to play as much as I can play, right? But I'm in 16th place. And I don't know if that's because, my roster's not as good and there's a lot more whales and that sort of thing, right? But the guy in front of me, the guy at the very top, is 50 and 2. Good for him. Good for him, right? But we're talking about 300 people being in this bracket, and I don't know if there are multiple brackets or not, right? But there are definitely 300 people here, and I don't see your name in here, so you're not in mine with me.
Probably not.
Right?
I was in I think the third one that opened.
Right.
Here's my thing. When they're these 3-day tournaments, I'm like, I'm sorry guys. I got 2 days of qualification. No, it's too long.
I don't like the 2 days. And I don't like the 2 days. I want it to be 24 hours, bam, bam. It's kind of like I want a qualification period that is like a couple hours long. That's what I'm thinking.
Ooh,
like,
I do worry about restricting people because it is global. Like it's a yeah,
but
so
you can parse these up. Like, I mean, I'm kind of the opinion where, look, if you want to give more rewards, make them less. Have less people in them, right? If you want to have 50 players, right, and you could separate it by region, you could do it that way. You could do it globally. That's fine. But I know for me, like, this guy's played 52 matches. I have not had time to do 52 matches. And now
and who knows how many of those he's getting on defense, but still.
Right.
Well, probably not that many.
The other guys got 54 and 9, 56 and 13, 44 and 51.
A lot of people go hard really early in the beginning. Like they drop max drat coins right out the gate in order to deter people. Yeah, in order to deter people. Well, you did. Yeah, that one that we were talking about. You went hard early.
I did because I got into it and was everybody below me. And I didn't win that. I ended up in the top. I think I ended up in the top 3 or 4.
That's brutal.
Right, because as soon as people joined in, the Mega Whales were able to join in, right? They were able to come up and just smash me. And so
smashing.
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, I don't have any problem with that. I think that's fun. I like tournaments because they reward people for having a big roster. But you're right. I guess I really didn't notice that they're recycling the old things. I did see that, but I didn't really care about that. That didn't really bother me. What I'm more concerned with is that it seems like now losing matters less. I think that's really my issue. Is that
it prevents people from getting nuked down as hard and targeted, which is I think one of the ways they were trying to acknowledge the kind of like complaints of the community. It's like, hey man, I got these 5 GNL guys all knocking me down, like taking turns as much as they can. So I think that was part of the intent of that. But this all kind of ties in though, because one of the other things people talk about in Arena a lot is that we kind of see the same teams. It's like, how can you cram as much Soleus and Nightiel into your comp as much as possible? And it's because we have a stale arena meta. I mean, if I go into my arena now, we just saw how many. I have 82 towers left in mine. But if we go into the arena here, I mean, I'm going to go through, right? We're going to look, and I have a couple people in my arena who tried to mix things up a little bit, but essentially it's Soleus, Nightiel, either Little Baddie or Tromgar, usually Tromgar, and then some combination of Freezard, Kyra, Cruel, and that's predominantly it.
Yeah.
And
there's a reason for that. They're just better.
They're really good. And here's the thing too. I'm looking ahead at these characters we're getting, right? All these legendaries we still got slated down here, and even Thanessa and Rin. And I'm like, until buff comes out here, I don't see the meta changing. Maybe with Renara, but it'll still take a while because a lot of people don't have Pride built up that hard. But those are, I think, no one stands a chance right now until buff or Renara is released. Even getting General Murdoch, even getting Thalen, I don't think they're going to do anything to touch it. There's going to have to be additional characters that we don't even have in game, even if they're unavailable.
Maybe we're thinking about the game all wrong. On my channel, we talked about, is the game faction based? Is it is it a paradise for theory crafting? And I think right now everybody's just kind of putting this in a faction based, right? It just what are the factions, right? Well, Order just seems to be way better than clans.
It is, and it's here's the thing:
humans are just way better than everybody else.
Well, and who does it circle around? It circles around Soleus. What role is Soleus? He's a healer / support. What is the only one of those we have with clans?
Right, Mortha, and she's
Mortha, who's a sack of poop.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and
But Renara's not even a legendary character. She's not a,
she is. She's a 5-star.
Is she a 5-star?
She's a 5-star.
Unlock?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's a 5-star.
Okay, she is a 5-star unlock, so she is a legendary character. So, but once again, we're gonna have to unlock her with someone. Right?
Please don't be goblins.
Please don't be goblins.
I mean, honestly, here's the thing. We only have 2 145s left, and they're both arguably, like, along with Soleus, to me, they were the triumvirate of, like, they have totally different applications, but they're all easily the best 145 unlocks, and everything else is just like, nope.
Well, and Soleus is amazing. As I recently stated in one of my videos, I think the NVC, right, he's the most valuable character in the game at the moment.
Sure.
Absolutely amazing.
No
and
joke.
so I think that, with his event coming up real soon, we need him. You got to get him. You got to get him at 7 stars, and if you don't have him, you got to unlock him at least at 5 stars.
At least unlock him, because even if you're someone who started in the past few weeks or something, and you're like, hey man, I'm not about to get 7-star Soleus. I'm telling you, just saw there, and we have people posting in GNL, right? Again, like the whale people, right? The whale pod. We have people in our guild who are just like, I didn't even get Soleus first time around, and I can't even climb to top 20 without him. So definitely make it a priority to get orcs done enough to be able to get him. He may not be back after a month, essentially, the next time, so you never know.
Shard, I'm ranked 33. I have 500 on my team, and I'm 30.
Yikes. That's a yikes.
I can't even get into the top. Right. Yeah. I can't even get into the top of the meta, even close. Well, and what's interesting about it is, one of the guys who is at the top, and the reason why he's number 1 is he has an IDL, or he has a little baddie.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm gonna sure. And so what I'm gonna do here is kind of switch. So to the 4th one, we've talked about really specific elements of the game. My last 2 kind of like concerns things where I would like to see some positive changes that I think the devs are even on the same page with us on it, and it just kind of hasn't happened, and that's kind of the curiosity for me. These are less to do with the game itself and more about communication, the Discord server, and stuff like that. So to my 4th main thing that I would love to see changed for the better is kind of fixing that poll channel that we've had for a long time, and then just some additional Discord moderation. People lost their minds, for to substitute words, whenever John the Guru posted out the big old sack of like polls that we had, and guys, we want you to react on this. Basically, the top things we're gonna make the biggest priority. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, like devs that listen, devs that care, like all this. And it's been here for, what's the exact day? Little over 2 months now, and they have made some more additions. But Lizard started doing a thing where she put little Lizard started doing a thing where she would put a little green check mark whenever that thing had been attended to. What I've been kind of saying is I think you need to kind of edit these posts, or you need to kind of get rid of all of it, make it another post that you plan on updating in order to separate the things they've done, because it also is good for people to look back and be like, hey, look, these are all the things they've actually listened to, people voted for it, and so they made the change. I think that's important for people to be able to see. And then also it's just a bit cluttered right now. It's kind of, hey, if I'm, and no one goes anymore. Everyone just posts in suggestions, or they do stuff in like the general like channels. And instead, I think they really need to do polls 2.0, and they need to make it the place again where first time that you start having an issue, right? If it's a bug, you still post it in bug report. If it's a suggestion, you can post it there. But everyone knows it's like, hey man, like I want to go through and make sure that there haven't been any new polls coming out. I want to make sure this is updated. Because I think that's a way better way to gauge people, instead of just seeing what the flavor of the day is in like the suggestions channel. And there are some great suggestions that go there that kind of get lost too, because they don't get like pinned or anything like that, and they shouldn't be pinned. That would be crazy. But you can kind of achieve that by having that back in having the polls channel be revamped away and be a little bit more of a dynamic living document. And then just some moderation. Sometimes there can just be rants, and I'm okay with a little bit of discussion, particularly in suggestions for bug report. Obviously you can let people know it's a known thing, but it's not bad for people to post that, hey, this issue has either persisted or I'm an additional person who's dealing with this, so they have an idea of the scale. That's all good, but things do get a little out of hand, and frankly, we got some real jerks out there who have been like crud holes, and a lot of the potentially all of the devs for this game are all kind of like Eastern European time zones. And so there's kind of like this 6 to 8 hour window where no one's paying attention, but where you have a lot of Americans who are up, and certainly some that I feel like you can kind of like trust to do some level of moderation. So that's kind of, what do you feel about that? Do you think that's kind of like, I understand the one to keep that control. What do you feel about the polls channel being made a little more significant? How do you feel about that?
I like the polls. I go in and I vote on all the every time. I think quality of life things. I think that they're good. I don't know how important they really are at the end of the day. To me, I'm not. I get on the server and I look at what's going on in the community, and I have people who interact with me and people on my channel and that sort of thing. But I try not to get into the weighing into the minutia of all this stuff. The developers know where they want to take their game. As a content creator and as somebody who's doing test accounts and that sort of stuff, I try to bring things to their attention and that sort of thing. I personally love the fact that they have stuff up here, because I think that tells us something about what they're thinking and that sort of thing. But ultimately it's their game, and it's and they're going to give us what they think is best. And the fact that they're listening to us at all, coming from somebody who used to play Galaxies and Heroes,
it was so painful.
It's right.
We're so used to being abused that we'll take anything.
Yeah, I'm used to the abuse. So, but this is not anywhere close to abuse. So for me, it's not. It's a kind of a non-factor. To be honest, the fact that they're thinking about it, like the randomized teams in Tower to make towers more unique, absolutely, right? Absolutely, we should be doing that. But I think that's good. Things like add raid damage lists to all the guide members after the raid's finished. I would love to see something like that. So it tells me who was all doing well, because I don't always see it. An unequip all runes or equip all runes, rune management. For me personally, that's more important. That more rune space, right?
Rune space.
More than 500 runes. I need like 1,000 or 1,500 runes that I can carry.
Need a lot.
500 is just way too little, because I need more rune space. So those things matter more to me than some of these other things. The quality of life stuff for me is more important, and that sort of stuff. Like, one of the things they posted was remove mirror matches, which they did.
Yeah,
right? They absolutely did that. But then add the ability to return lobbies without losing tickets when that sort of stuff. I want that bad, but they haven't done that one.
I see, and see, sometimes I don't even, you can see the I don't know. See, in some of those things, I kind of like the difficulty that comes with some of those things, but I understand people's positions. Well, I know
what happens to me sometimes is I'm at work. And I'm at work and I open up my phone and I go to push one, because I think, I have a couple minutes, I can do a quick tournament battle, right? And I open up the phone, and then my phone rings, and then my phone shuts off and goes into saver, and then I lose. Right? And so I automatically lose the tournament simply because the phone died, or the phone went into a screensaver mode or something like that. If the default were to exit you out without losing because you didn't,
but then you could just kind of force quit the app. And that's the problem, and people could just abuse that.
You could do that. I mean, this is just a practical thing for me. I'm not one of these people who are trying to cheat, and so I look at it. That would be nice, but sometimes it might just be I'm in the screen and now I can't exit, and that happened to me today. I'm at work. I pull up the phone. I'm gonna play a battle real quick. I haven't even selected who I want to pick yet, but I'm kind of stuck there now. right? And I can't leave the game. I can't go to do something else. I'm stuck in that screen until I either fight a battle and lose or fight a battle and win. And if I try to exit, I can't. I guess once you're in the battle, then you're done, right? And that's just going to be okay.
Right.
But that little bit of stretch where you're just trying to pick who you're going to play, because sometimes for me, I try to be methodical about it. Who am I going to look at? I'm going to look at what's their speed on your Night EL. Okay, all right. Well, your Night EL's faster than mine, or my Night EL's faster than yours.
Right.
And that sort of stuff. I try to pick my opponents well that way, and so sometimes it would be nice to be able to back out. Oh, your Night EL's got a 175.
And
okay,
so
back
and
out,
even
change my runes, and come back in.
And so even all this stuff is stuff that my main thing is I feel like we could have a better numerical representation of all these things if the priority was, hey, every time that we feel like a good suggestion comes up, even a reasonably good suggestion, like, hey, I don't know, but maybe people like it, to put it up on the poll and just create like that culture of going there, so we're actually aware of what people's actual, like, what the polling on that is. Is the polling on that good? Is the polling on that bad? And I think that the polls channel is a good way of doing that. But I understand that there are people who, and this is one reason I'm asking, there are people who are not as big of, like, the DC Discord, peeps that just lounge around there a lot of the day like me. So my last thing, and we don't need, this won't take very long, but I would just like a little more specificity on the timelines. I would like a little more frequent updates. Like, it feels like we just get like big old bursts. Like, we got a big old mess one, right? And then we didn't have anything really until a couple weeks prior, almost. No, just a week and a half prior, and it was on like some minor fixes. And so that was not bad. But I would like to not go. Probably, let's look. I guess, when was this post? When did this post come out? I would like to not go 2 weeks without knowing kind of where the content is, because the problem we ended up with right then, I think it's good that we have this road ahead post now, because we have a kind of a long picture of what we're going to be looking forward to. But before, we didn't really have that. We were like, okay, we know General Murdoch's coming, but like, what's coming after that? And there was kind of this, for this couple week period, there was kind of like, so what's after that? I don't know. We still have this world championship, but that's been there since the beginning. Is that close, or is that still a ways off? And so just a little more like kind of like consistent. Hey, so now we have all these things, right? When are we going to, okay, you're going to see one of the races introduced within the next, 2 months. The other one's going to be 4 to 5 months out, something like that. The one of these two new game modes that we're going to be adding, one of those is going to be out in the next month. But the other one is not going to be, the raid isn't going to be out for another 3 months still. Things like that. Just we have some kind of idea of what we're looking forward to. And honestly, right now, it's because I think there are a lot of people that need a little pick-me-up. I think this helped. But again, like, this is clearly a long, this is a, distance view. This could be 6 months. This could be a year of some of their major goals. And it's like, well, hey, am I waiting 8 months to get half of these new heroes? Like, I don't know. And I think giving people an idea of like, hey, no, here's what you can look forward to next month. Here's what you can look forward to the month after that. And obviously development like cycles are subject to, things coming up. But anyway, I'm assuming you don't hate that idea, but is this something you really care about?
Oh, well, in this particular case, I do care more about this. I love the interaction we have, and I actually think that we get developers as a community, not just you and I who bit, right? But I'm talking about overall, when we look at the breadth of the game, I'm going through all the announcements that they've made since I started playing the game 2 weeks in, right? And if you look at it, from the time they launched the game on September 20th, or September 30th, right? There's a post on the 3rd, a post on the 3rd, post on the 10th of December, a post on the 15th of, or not December, I'm sorry, October, another post on the 17th of October, another post on the 17th of October. And then they knew they had issues, and they posted, we know we have issues. They're working. 19th of October, 21st of October, 25th of October. I'm lawyering you right now, if you couldn't tell. The 25th of October, 26th of October, 29th of October, 30th of October, 30th of October, 30th of October, because
Well,
there were some
sure.
issues, right?
Yeah,
But
but
they're
we had all these issues,
constantly,
basically just minor updates about the,
but not
yeah.
just issues, but dropping new things. I mean, they're dropping new content. They're telling us what's going on the 31st. But anytime there's an issue, they're continually giving us more stuff. And then you get into, there's a little bit of lag, and then there's the 2nd, and then the 6th, right? The 6th of November. So from the late October to the 6th of November, we get a new update. We know that we're getting new stuff, and then right from the 6th of October, we get another one. We get another update as well on the 8th, which
Right.
tells us what is coming out in November. And then we get another one after that on the 19th, telling us that the new update's going to be. And what is the update? And it gives us Diesel Rog. And I feel like we're actually getting a lot of content. I think what's happened is that for people like you and me and some of the whales out there, we spent money and we pushed real hard, and we kind of feel like we need more content. But there are a lot of people out there that are getting plenty of content. They're getting plenty of content. Now, I realize for us, I mean, it's the 26th was another big update, and then we had this newest update that just went live right on the 9th. That was the big one. And then the 16th, right, we had another update, and then it's been the holiday season. And yes, during the holiday season for these last 2 weeks,
Fair enough, right?
It's been quiet.
Real quiet.
There's no doubt about that. But it's the holiday season.
It's the holidays.
I mean, it's Christmas, and these guys, they've been great about Christmas. They gave us good deals on Christmas.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we come out of the holiday on the 30th of December, we get a new road ahead, kind of a blog post, that tells us, look, these are the things we have coming up. I think their ability to communicate with the community is fantastic.
For sure.
I really do.
And like the level of interaction is, and I like how you have different priorities, and so we're kind of bringing like different perspectives. Hey, I feel like they kind of do this. I feel like I would like a little more here or there. But I think we both agree that, like, first of all, this in comparison to any other game I've played, and I've played a few. I'm not a serial mobile gamer, but like I've played a few. And this is easily the best quality of like interaction with the devs, bar none. Again, like he was kind of saying, or you, I'm like torn between like third person. So, like you were saying, yeah, it's holidays. It was pretty dead for a little while there, and I think because there wasn't really much detail about what was coming after, I think that's why we were all kind of a little anxious about, like, hey man, when we're gonna find out what's coming out now,
Right.
And so now they have it out.
Okay, everybody, it's going to be okay.
RELAX, right?
Right. Yeah. A little bit of relaxing.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on. And again, guys, if you haven't watched anything on Dragonlaw's channel, for those of you who are subscribed to me, not to him, we've done a couple videos together now. We have a great time doing it, and we talk about kind of like, we try to like pair things up like this, and it's good. We're going to be doing some other stuff together on the test server, doing like whether it's minimum requirements things, doing arena stuff, but where we're at like a relative gear level, not being all maxed out like most of the accounts are there. So definitely give the like and the subscribe over to Dragonlaw, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time.
Hey.